Like notes through the hourglass. These are the songs of our lives. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Songs of Our Lives. I'm Brad Rose. I'm an artist, composer, a writer, the founder of Foxy, Digitalis, someone who thinks about music and sound far more than is healthy. Each week, I invite on a guest, and we talk about the songs and the music that have meant a lot to them. Previous guests include Lawrence English, Miriam Gendron, Leah Bertucci, Six Organs of Admittance, Jalen, Claire Rousset, Rosalie. The list goes on and on and on. This week, I am excited to have Jae Soto, whose new album, Leave the Light On, hasn't left my stereo in months. I love it so much. And it's the album, it's like my favorite album so far this year that has totally surprised me. You know, there's a lot of albums that have come out that like I expected would be really good, or it was like artists that I loved. And so I don't want to say I knew what to expect, but I had high expectations, high hopes, and they were met and all those things. This is an album that I'll be honest, I wasn't familiar with her work, and it came through my inbox, and it took me a while to finally listen to it because it was, you know, that's how it goes sometimes. And within like 5 seconds, I was hooked. I was in. She really just, her approach, and we talk about it a little bit in the interview, but it's just right in my wheelhouse. You know, it's a combination of composition and improvising, and it's all just kind of creating this wonderful, warm, sometimes whimsical, sometimes it's a lot more emotive, and I don't want to say dark, but it's all creating a playground for her voice. Her voice is the absolute star of the show. And yeah, I love this album, and I think y'all should check it out if you haven't heard it. And we recorded this a few weeks ago, and it was so much fun. And there's a technical difficulty towards the end, but I left it because it is so appropriate and perfect for the answer to that question. And it was, I still laugh about it, think about it. So anyway, Jae Soto, episode number 42 of Songs of Our Lives. I hope you all enjoy it. My guest today is a musician, a singer, a songwriter, and whose new album has one hell of a hold on me. Welcome to the show, Jae Soto.
Thank you. Thanks.
So, Leave the Light On is out June 25th. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm curious because this is your first record, ostensibly, right?
Yes. Yes.
And if I'm remembering everything correctly, like you've been like a session singer, like I mean, you've been around music for a long time, doing stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, why was it time now to finally do your own thing?
So, before the pandemic, I mainly did private weddings. I did private events. I was just like a kind of workhorse kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
Using my voice to just kind of fit different molds, and adapting. And it really like helped me build my chops, like my singing chops, which was like such a valuable thing. I feel like I do have a palette to pull from. And I'm so grateful for that experience and in that way. And then the pandemic hit, and I started to just take my time in diving into like guitar pedals, putting my voice through them, diving more into Ableton. And I realized like, oh, this is why I felt so unhappy for so long. I wanted to just make things, and I wanted to do it in a way that felt authentic to me. And I think that I needed for the world to stop in order to get to that place.
Yeah.
And even after like peak pandemic, I still kind of had like a windy road in getting to a place where I felt like good about 10 songs, I had to make so much stuff that I didn't like in order to get
Right.
here. Um, it was so scattered too. I see people making albums and they're like, they write everything and then they go into the studio and then it's done. And for me, it was just not, it was all over the
Right.
place. So scattered, it's so inefficient, so all over the place. But it was, yeah, I needed for the world to stop so that I could really dive into what sounds I like.
Mhm.
What do I sound like? Because before that, it was me sounding like other people.
Right.
So yeah, it's I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, I think that's really I relate to like the need to create things is
Yeah.
Because like I used to, I've been doing this for a while, but I took a number of years off after my daughter was born because I was just like overwhelmed with life.
Yeah.
And when the pandemic hit, it was the same thing. Like it
Mm.
kind of opened up this space where I refound that and just was like, oh my gosh, this huge part of my life was missing, and it's because I just needed to be creating things.
Yeah,
And
you I think when you go into survival mode sometimes I think that you kind of step outside of yourself.
mm-hmm.
And when you click back in, it's like, "Oh, I understand what was happening." I
Yes.
was just I call it monkey brain. Like
Yes.
when I'm just like, "Oh, what do I need to do? Oh, oh." And then you're just like scrambling and everything that is like authentic to you, that's sacred to you kind of has to go to the side.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad that you were able to get back to that.
I also love that the way your description of your process, which is another thing I can relate to. People ask me about my process, like, what's your process? I'm like, it's messy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, um,
Oh my
because I don't even, there's this
god.
meme of this dog. It's like in space, or it looks like it's in space and it's kind of floating and just says, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yep.
I'm like, this is my process.
Absolutely. It's throwing paint at the wall.
Yeah.
And yeah, I identify with the dog in space.
But I am curious as far as process goes, because you talk about like in the description of this record that you sort of have like integrating improv sessions into your tracks. So
Yes.
and that's awesome. And I think that's one of the things that has so drawn me to the record is that mix of like songwriting and composition and improvisation. So I'm just kind of curious, like what that part of the process is like, or how, I don't know, how it all fits together sort of sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I thank you. I think that's where I live. I
Mm-hmm.
live in like just making sounds that are ugly, sounds that are big and chaotic, sparkly things. Like I live in that space where I'm just making for the sake of it. Like I think
Yeah.
that every human needs to feel that in whatever way feels good to them. Um, but I also have this side where it's like I love crafting songs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that I needed to look at it in a vacuum. And so I forced myself, I also have ADHD, like adult diagnosed ADHD.
Same.
Yes. Okay. Solidarity.
Yes.
So it's almost like you have to break something down into its smallest part and
Mm-hmm.
hyper focus on it. So I had to sit and really think about, okay, we're doing like the chords, the harmony, we're putting together the arrangement of the song.
Right.
And then another session would be like, we're doing lyrics. So as soon as I had the song part done, which I thought was the hardest part,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the majority of the work was behind me because it was like an emotional undertaking, because it's like you have to sit and focus.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily feel as creative. It's almost more it's a more theory based. It's more, like thinking
Mm-hmm.
about the flow of words and not necessarily being completely present. And then
Right.
the second part of it, or the other part of it, is like, okay, what like ridiculous improv sessions can I sift through that are like kind of in the key?
Yeah.
And then I would just throw them in.
Oh man.
and just see if like things fit. And sometimes it's like, oh, great. Like I don't really have to think about this very much
Yeah.
because it's like um, both parts on their own exist. Like I think as a whole, like they're
Mm-hmm.
fine on their own. And I think I just needed to like get into the headspace of like, okay, it's tough for you to write lyrics, so you're gonna reserve lyric writing for one moment in time, and you're gonna like sit and you're gonna be like, it's okay, it's hard, you know, like, you have to like gentle
Right.
parent yourself.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so it was definitely like a methodical thing. And then I said, okay, like it's not that you're just scattered and incapable of finishing something. It's that you have to like work with yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's do you ever do like, I don't know, you have like the song portion or whatever, like, and just
Mhm.
like improv over it?
Yeah, yeah. I think that if I don't find something I like, or if it's
Mm-hmm.
just too chaotic to slap
Right.
over, I don't want to say slap over it, but you know, sometimes
I
we
know.
do that. It's
Yeah.
pain.
Yes.
um, Yeah, absolutely. I use the mood pedal. I have a Chase Bliss mood. I have the original one, which is pink, and then the second one is the MK2. And I find that these are the best for me for like creating just like beautiful, stretched out, just ad libs.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a huge part of it. I used those pedals specifically over the song. Like if I had recorded like the song portion, I
Mm-hmm.
would, and I didn't find any like improvs that I liked, I would record over it with those.
Oh, that's cool. I'm not familiar with those pedals, but just the name of it alone, and
Yeah.
I'm it's like, oh, that sounds like something I would like.
Yeah, I think you really would. I love both versions. But they're like kind of like endless creative tool. Like you can um get endless ideas from it and just
Mhm.
samples that you can use.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're weird too. They're chaotic and unexpected.
That's yeah. A lot of my favorite gear that I use is the stuff that I feel like this could just go off the rails at any point, and
Yeah.
I'm barely hanging on. But that's where like that's the sweet spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was me last night for sure. That was me.
Well, I hope you're able to keep it on the other side of the, or maybe let it go sometimes. I don't know. Like how,
It,
yeah, I guess you did mention before we technically started the show here that you had your album release show last night. How did it go?
it was wonderful. I played with it was the event was put together by a collective called Ambient Pasta, and they throw together interdisciplinary shows. So they had like projection art or projection mapped projections, and then sculptural art, and it was held at the Stone Circle Theater. So it was just like visually so beautiful.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, and it was in the round, so there was the grand piano in the middle. It was just like so beautiful, and Theo was playing synth and piano, and I think it was just he makes it so easy to. His name's Theo Valentini. He's an amazing pianist and keyboard player. He made it so easy to just like listen. I wasn't focused a lot on um, making sure I was singing it exactly right. There's some songs that we have where we're just kind of improving, like it's kind of loosely arranged. And yeah, he just knows how to listen and respond. And it's just like this symbiotic relationship. And yeah, it was just like very, very magical. But there were moments where I was pushing it a little bit, where I was like, I put the mix knob too high, so there's like it, and there was a harmonizer on my voice, and I was just like, "This is a cloud of
Yeah,
nothing. This is the demonic sound that's coming out of me." But I think that they were very open minded there, so I think it
that's
was
awesome.
appreciated.
That sounds great. I love, yeah, I love interdisciplinary shows like that where it's not
Mm.
just that's like totally my jam right there.
Yeah, yeah, it's exciting. I think if you are, um, it, you know, shows at traditional venues are wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a marvelous place to show what you have to offer. But I think there is something to be said about like bringing all of these things together. I do think that we need to do it more often.
I could not agree
Yeah.
more. Okay, well, the whole reason we're here is, I mean, there's lots of reasons we're here,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
meat of the show here is we're going to talk about a bunch of songs.
Great.
And as always, to start, I'm going to ask, what is the first song that you remember?
Oh, Higher and Higher by Jackie Wilson.
Oh man, what a like early. Whew.
Yeah. My mom used to play it while she was like cleaning. Like that's the kind of music she would play, a lot of Motown while she was
Yeah,
cleaning the apartment. We were cleaning together. And it was also in the Ghostbusters 2 movie, which I
right.
loved as a kid. We had the proton packs and everything.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, so that movie is like super like close to me. And it makes me think of the Statue of Liberty stomping on New York City.
I was there a lot of like, so you were saying your mom listened to like a lot of Motown and stuff when she was cleaning. What was there a lot of music around like when you were growing up in the house?
Yeah, we are of Puerto Rican descent, so there's also a lot of Fania All Stars, which is like this collective of Puerto Rican and Cuban artists from the 70s mostly. So a lot of Boogaloo, which is like a combination of Latin music and American music. It's a very interesting New York centric genre. A lot of salsa, a lot of Motown. She was like in her early 20s in the 70s here in New York City. So that was
Wow.
like peak
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Sort of. Also peak like scary a little bit.
Right.
Maybe in the 80s. She's like, let me have a baby in the 80s in New York City. I think it'll be during the crack boom. Let's do that.
Oh. Sounds like your mom's a badass.
She
Frankly.
really is. She really is. She really is.
Has she heard the record?
I'm sure. I'm sure. She's gonna love it. She's gonna love it. She's all over it.
Amazing.
Spiritually.
That's awesome. Well, that's a hell of a place to start. That's like I swear to God, every time like that song, I hear that bass line and I just feel warm and happy in my entire body.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's animalistic. Like it's like this feels tribal almost. I just get so energized.
Right. Yeah, it's so good. Okay, moving on. Do you consider yourself a crier?
Nowadays, yes.
Yes.
I had to learn how to do that for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when my kid was born, I like that sort of unlocked or broke. It didn't break something in me. It like just unlocked this well of other emotions that I didn't know I had.
It released you were released.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm better for it. So it's like
Sure.
I'm, crying is often a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
So what's a song that'll either make you cry or kind of just like put you there and that like, make you feel like that feeling, whatever that feeling is.
It's called Hey, Who Really Cares by Linda Perhacs. I don't know if I'm
Geez.
saying it correctly.
I think that's how it's pronounced, but that's another one where I'm like, I never heard this said out loud.
Yeah, exactly. I love her story. I can't remember what kind of doctor she is, but I think she just made this incredible record. It was never released. And then she just went back to her profession. And then it came out recently, this whole album. I was like, what? And they were like, do you want to like pop back up and do this again? She's like, no, I'm good. Like, enjoy. It's so beautiful, this record.
Yeah.
But the song specifically is it's very haunting. It's like, that beautiful arpeggiated guitar. And it's so short and she says everything she needs to say in it. And it's like, hey, who really cares? Is anybody listening? Let me say what's on my mind. Can I bring it up to you? Go on, and it goes on and on to say, like, I want to confide in somebody. And you kind of don't know if this person doesn't know how, or if they just don't have anybody that's willing to listen.
Right.
And I think at this point, like, everybody's experienced that at some point. Like, am I unwilling to confide, or is there no one around me to do that?
100%.
Yeah, I don't know. It's beautiful. It's like, it's just about vulnerability, I think.
Yeah, I think it really captures too, like, something I think about and I've written about is how, and you may like have know this feeling, especially when you're putting things out into the world, like whether it's music or art or anything, and it kind of feels like you're just sending things out into this void, and
Yeah.
like, and you wonder, it's like, is anybody
Yeah.
listening? Is anybody
Yeah.
hearing this?
Yeah. And I think that I've personally have just had to get to a you can have secure or insecure relationships with other people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you can have an insecure or secure relationship with your own craft.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, I've finally gotten to a place where I'm like, you can say anything to me about what I do, and I am secure enough in standing in what I do and believing in it that I'm not going to be affected by it tremendously. Um, and I think that's a place that I needed to get to also.
Yes.
So yeah, it's vulnerable to let it go into the world, but it's also like, I have to, I feel like okay with that at the same time.
Yeah, no, and it's, yeah, and again, like this song, like this vulnerability and being, showing that it's like, I mean, that's how you really like form like connections and all that, and it's, I mean, obviously this is like Psych 101 or whatever,
Sure.
but like, it's something I had to learn, like, in my life,
Absolutely.
It's all the most meaningful relationships in my life come from this place of that in a lot of ways. So
yeah, all the cliches, I think, they don't sound like much when you're younger, but then when you get older, you're like, oh, I get it now. Like,
right.
all this simple stuff, like, it really hits now because I had to get there.
Yes, absolutely. Well, on the flip side, what is the song that puts you in a better mood?
Stay With Me by Miki Matsubara. She's a city pop artist. During the pandemic, I listened to this app called Radio, and you can click on a country and like a decade, and it'll just give you the music from then.
Oh, that's cool.
And I clicked on 80s in Japan, and I was like, oh, wow. This is the vibe forever. And I was obsessed. And she was just, Stay With Me is just one of those. The only English words in the song are Stay With Me, and the rest is in Japanese.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it any other way.
I'd never heard this before, and I'm completely obsessed with it now. I think I've listened to this 20 times since I got your list at the end of last week.
I'm so glad that I'm spreading my agenda.
Yes.
This is my city pop agenda, because it's literally like they took American styles of music and they just did something so incredible with it. And I just, I'm obsessed with it. I'm glad you like it.
Yes, I love it. And have you listened to any like other, like, more of her stuff? Is it all, I need to go like down the rabbit hole, I think, but
yeah, the rest of the album is a similar vibe.
Okay.
And I'm, of course, like, trying to think of other artists from that era in that genre, but I'm drawing a blank because, of course, I am.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
We'll finish this and you'll be like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
That's all right.
But she is I think, the Selena, like, if Beyonce is to America, she is my Japanese, but Beyonce.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
I don't know if it does either, but we're going with it. Well, now we have everybody's favorite question, which is, what is objectively the greatest song of all time?
I think this is okay. So the question was like, you can be tongue in cheek about this. I felt like I would want to show the aliens the Golden Girls theme song.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It just makes me really happy.
It's, how can it not?
Yeah.
It's, like one of the fun things that I end up always doing is when I get these lists and they're in no order and I have no idea what anything is, I try to guess. Never. I figured this was like the first song you remembered. So,
of course.
oh, that's amazing. Amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, they I feel like, it'll prevent annihilation too if like that was their agenda.
Absolutely.
It's like, look, we're friends here. Like, we're friends.
Yeah, I mean, how could you hear this and then want to just wipe everybody out? I don't think that's...
Thank you for being a friend.
Are you a big Golden Girls fan?
I feel like I am. I think it was like it was just on all the time as a kid.
Right. Yes.
It was what is it, TV Land?
Yeah.
TV Land playing and all the old stuff, the classics.
Yes.
And yeah, I feel like I'd be the B. Arthur character a little bit, but I also feel kind of like a Blanche Devereaux. So yeah, it's great. They're all together. They make one hell of a woman. So I aspire to be like them.
Oh my gosh. This is my favorite answer for this question ever, I think. Most unexpected too, but that's why it's so good.
I'm so glad.
Well, what's a song you used to love, but now, like, if you've heard it recently or if you think about it now, it doesn't really like do it for you the same way?
Oh, this is kind of dark, so I'm sorry to take a quick shift. So
it's also the Golden Girls theme. No.
Yeah, I feel like I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. I feel like I'm in that era where, like, after Me Too, after all, like, just like this whole shift in consciousness, knowing that if an artist was like into younger girls, or they were abusive to them, or they were predatory in some sort of way, it's hard for me it's hard for me to like listen to Elvis specifically and be like, so good, love him.
Right. No, I get it.
Because it's like a lot of creations by certain people who are predatory were built off of the labor or trauma of women, and often younger women. So it's like, how can I feel good about this? I don't know. It's kind of dark.
But it makes, like, it's something I don't think about it all the time because that would be really dark if I think about it all the time. But like, it's, where separating art and the artist, but also it's like there's a line where you can't, like, I mean, it's like, there's certain things maybe I can, like, I don't know. I had this came up, I think it was a very early episode of this with Robert Aki Aubrey Lowe, and for this question he picked the Ignition remix by R. Kelly, and it was the same thing. It's like, wow, this is legitimately one of the greatest pop songs ever, but I just can't do it.
I had to sing that at weddings.
Oh God, and
people would have their hands up in the air. Yeah. And this was after the documentary came out, and they'd be like, yeah, and I'd be like, what? And I'd have like a mini meltdown, but like internally, of course.
Right.
You have to look like you're having a good time.
Yeah, and I imagine, Elvis is probably the same. I don't know. Yeah. I imagine Elvis gets sung at every other wedding.
Yeah. Well, he got, look at his ending. I feel like it ended the way it ended. And we can all feel sorry.
Can help us sleep a little better at night.
I don't want to sound like rude in that way, or like that's kind of dark to say that, but it's a brutal way to go.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So it makes it feel a little balanced for me. I know that sounds so dark, but
I get it. No, there's a lot of stuff that, growing up, when I was a teenager and stuff, like I was really in like the punk scene and stuff. And now, like, looking back, there's a lot of stuff that is so problematic. Yeah. Even at the time, like, it came out later that the people were, and you just kind of have to, I don't know, everyone's got to
I think reconcile that for themselves, and it's different for
Absolutely.
everybody.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I totally relate to the.
It's your own metric, and you just have to figure out what that is. And I think that we all have to get there. I don't think there is it doesn't happen in a monolith, if that makes it. It's not a
Right.
monolith. Like, you can't feel the same way and move through the world in the same way. Like, you have to be like, okay, I don't like this. Here's my line.
Right.
Like, again, bringing up Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 1, I rewatched it recently, and I'm seeing Bill Murray barge in. He's, trying to check out the ghosts in Sigourney Weaver's home, right? And he comes into her apartment. It's all business at first, and he's like, "Oh, pretty lady," and he starts to come on to her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "I think you should go," and he's like, "I don't think so." And I was like, "Oh." I was like rewatching it, and we thought this was like cute.
I
And
know.
like, we were younger, and I can't actually sit through it anymore. It's like, oh my God. Like, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. It's like the Wizard of Oz. It's like the veil has been lifted.
Right.
I know it's a little man behind the curtain.
Yeah. My partner and I have this because my daughter is 11, and we think about movies that we loved as kids, and we think like, is it okay to show like The Goonies was a big one, and neither of us have watched it again because I'm like, I know there's like obviously problematic stuff that I remember, like especially with Data, the Asian character, and the
oh wow
Chunk, the
yes.
But I'm like, how? And it's like, God, I can't. Yes. It's like, sorry, kid. I don't know that maybe when you're older and we can have a conversation.
Absolutely. Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh God.
The
yeah.
man who lives oh my God. I rewatched it, and it's like such a like classic movie that is so upheld in history. And I rewatched it, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I know.
It's horrible. No, I understand like your reservations, and I think like she's gonna be fine if she doesn't see Breakfast at Tiffany's,
right?
Or like The Goonies. Or if she does watch it, you can explain like this is what this represented, like in history, and like this is why it's kind of weird and messed up, and this is not something that's repeated now,
right?
Or shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's a whole. There's so much stuff, and
there's so much stuff.
To me, the important thing is just to not stick your head in the sand about it. Like, at least, even if you're gonna continue, like if you want to continue listening to Elvis or like R. Kelly, and you think that's like, at least acknowledge and reconcile it for yourself, but don't just put your fingers in your ears and pretend it's not a thing.
Yeah, I think that's bad for everyone, because you're going to do that probably in other areas of your life as well.
Right.
Which I think is not a great thing.
Ugh. Well, moving on.
Fuck you, Elvis.
Yeah, fuck you, Elvis. Hot takes. Here we go. Okay, well, on the sort of a different side of things, what's a song that some group of people hate it, you don't care, you love it?
Oh, Hallowed Be Thy Name by Iron Maiden.
Oh man, hell yeah.
It's so like surprising for that to be like on my rotation. But I literally my brain is driven by dopamine, so really I'm all over the place. And the guitar harmonies that happen in this song are incredible. It happens in 3 parts. There's just beautiful breakdowns. Me and my best friend, is like a bonding thing for us too. We just will sing the guitar parts together in harmony.
That's awesome.
Just air drums. It's just such a like beautiful, animalistic, and like beautifully arranged and composed. I don't know what genre this would be. I guess 80s metal. Not so metal.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty. I always think of Iron Maiden as sort of quintessentially like 80s metal. I mean, they're still around. So
yeah, it's a big one for me. I listen to this at least a few times a week.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. It was introduced to me by just this random man that I knew. I guess I dated him for a short time. He's no longer with us. But he he introduced it to me on a 4th of July, and I was just like, something clicked in my brain, and it's like 900 minutes long.
Right.
So it has to be good for me to sit through that. Usually when dudes do that, I'm like, oh no, how long is this gonna last?
But,
yeah, but I love it.
So is it like this Iron Maiden song, or is there other I'm not a big metal person.
Me neither. That's the thing. It's so random. I don't know any other Iron Maiden songs.
I don't know many. Like when I was like 10, I was into like 80s hair metal, but Iron Maiden seemed like too hard for me.
Sure.
It's like I can do Poison, which again, speaking of problematic, but
yeah. Oh my god.
Anyway.
No, I know. It's well, it extends no further than Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Okay.
But that is, I love them so much. I love this song.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And I never bothered to listen to the rest of their discography.
I mean, and I think that's the thing that, I mean, there's something really beautiful about that to me, because that's like something I'm trying to get better about, because I don't know. I'm getting older. I don't have as much space in my brain. I don't need to know everything about like every band. It's like, oh, this is a cool song. Well, now I need to know everything about this. And it's like, God,
yeah. I admire people who I'll send them a song and they'll listen to the whole album. And I'll be like, wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I've had that experience too, when they'll start talking about the rest of the album. I'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I know that song. That's great.
I used to, when I was younger, I used to pretend that I did. And I just don't, because eventually you just get caught. Like someone will mention something about Harry Potter and they'll mention something very specific, let's say, for example, and I'll be like, I'll have to stop them and I'll be like, I know that I led you on to believe that I've watched all of Harry Potter, but I really don't know what you're talking about.
I think that's like a really kind of related back to what we were talking about at the beginning about, having this sort of confidence in your craft, or like, that people can tell you, being able, because that was a big thing where it was like, oh my gosh, if I admit that I don't know this thing, then everyone's going to laugh at me.
Yeah. It's okay now.
And now I've realized, like, actually nobody cares.
Yeah. Nobody cares, but we really cared at one point.
Right.
But I also feel that way about like gear too. I used to feel like very guilty for not learning like every single aspect of like a guitar pedal. Like, let's say it's a complicated one, or it's like complex, it's got like a lot of features. If you like a thing that it does, you like that thing, and that's what it does in the chain, and that's okay.
I'm 100% with, like, I have gear that I've had for 15, 20 years. Do I know? And I've had people like, oh, you ever use it? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I use it to do this, and I love doing that.
Yeah. I think before I had this shame of like, oh no, I'm not like using, this feels excessive. Like I'm not using every aspect of it, but I think it's like fine.
Yes. It's 100%.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay, everybody.
Yeah. You can let it go.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think of yourself as a romantic?
Oh, absolutely.
I kind of figured as much just from listening to your record a little bit.
Oh, thanks.
Well, what is the most romantic song?
I wrote down L'Appuntamento by Ornella Vanoni.
Wow. Yeah.
It's just it just hits all the right spots. It's anything honestly from the 60s from Italy. Like any ballad from the 60s in Italy is just so on point. But this artist specifically just like gets me really good. I don't know what she's saying. Again.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's like Stay With Me, the city pop song. I don't know what she's saying. But I like it. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the kind of just speaks to the power of this song. That it just sort of sweeps you away no matter what. She could be singing about like car engines. I don't care.
Absolutely. Carburetors.
Yeah.
Tires.
You have my attention. I'm in the palm of your hand.
Yeah. And that really is something. Just like they captured city pop in the 80s in Japan. Like in the 60s in Italy, they caught the romance vibe
Yeah.
so well. They captured it so well. And there's, I mean, tons of, um, uh, lyricless, like singer, what do you call singerless songs? How would you describe that? Anyway, there's a lot of music that doesn't have any singing in it that is just the most beautiful, just like enduring, gorgeous, gorgeous music you've ever heard. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll, at some point, again, I can't think of any because I'm on the spot, but
Right.
60s in Italy, they did something.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. No, this is another one. Like I never heard this before, and I just felt like I was like the cartoon, like hearts in my eyes, like listening
Yeah,
to it.
yeah. Oh,
Um, Love it. Well, what's a song that changed your perspective on an artist, either for better or for worse?
so there's a song, I think, inspired by the movie The Shining, by Deerhoof, and it's called
Mm-hmm.
Midnight, the Stars and You.
Yeah.
And I think it just helped me. All of the Deerhoof music that I had heard before that was completely different
Mm-hmm.
and a lot more like angular. And I, of course, love all of that. But this one, like, just like helped me understand, or just like acknowledge that, like, you can make things that do not fit your normal palette. Like, you can make things that sit outside of what people are expecting from you, and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be like well received as long as it's like, authentic, and people like it. Like, I it's just one of those songs where I was like, oh, you can do whatever you want. Like,
Yeah.
it's so creepy and beautiful. It's like, I guess you would call it, I don't know if it's freak folk. It's like just
Yeah.
the
I
most
don't.
beautiful, like, it's guitar and voice and just a lot of reverb, and it's tinny, and like it's just like very The Shining.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember when this came out, and it was having kind of the same reaction of just like, whoa,
yeah.
that's and it's if Deerhoof is doing it, then it's totally okay to do that because they're one of the greatest bands of all time. So.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah, and this is it's one of those songs for me. I was like, I felt this permission. I felt like this little pat on the back, like, you can go ahead,
Yeah, I
do
love that.
whatever.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, it is, and it's that is like it's such an amazing, freeing realization to just be like, just yeah, go with whatever you're feeling in now, and if it's
Yeah.
different, and again, it's like I the thinking about those things, like thinking when I was younger or whatever, and like, oh, well, people are expectations or da, da, da.
Mm,
Nobody thinks about this stuff more than we do about ourselves. Like,
absolutely. Yep.
um, and
Yeah.
so
And it's a bad I think the habit of considering other
yes,
people is, in general, like, I understand we should consider other human beings,
right,
like, but in the capacity of making art, like, or making music, making anything, I think it's a if there's a pipeline, like, I just feel like
hmm
it lays the groundwork for going in a direction where you're never going to stop doing that. So it's almost like you have to force yourself to kind of constantly come back to you.
for sure. And I also have found like when as the more I kind of let those things go and just do it, like people have the response to it seems to be people seem to respond to it more anyway. So it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh, because people can tell, like if
yeah.
so
This sounds like you. This
yeah,
is you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Lyrics, obviously, I imagine you're a big lyrics. Well, we talked about lyrics. Lyrics are hard.
They're so hard.
Well, hey, if it, I think the lyrics on the record are really great. So
Thank you.
the hard work paid off.
Thank you. I
Um,
really had to think so hard. I wish I could say, oh, it just like came to me. Really
yeah,
didn't.
no, this is why I make instrumental music.
No, I understand. Congratulations.
Well, no,
It's
really,
so-
congratulations on you for like pushing through and really.
Thank you. Thank you. My brain got a workout. It was like
I
it's all
bet.
muscular now. Yeah.
But what are your favorite lyrics? Either a single line from a song, a whole song.
So this is really random. Again, It's from a musical called Sunday in the Park with George.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from a song called Move On, sung by Bernadette Peters originally. And the line is, I chose and my world was shaken. So what? The choice may have been mistaken. The choosing was not. You have to move on. And I think everyone in my life everyone in my life is very tired of me bringing this up, I'm sure. But it's like, if I'm saying that to you, I'm getting on my like motivational soapbox. And I'm like, listen, you got to make a decision. And then you find out what happens after that. Sometimes we just sit and like, we just consider and consider and consider, and we don't make decisions. And I really think decisions are what lead us to the next thing constantly. And it's really hard for me to do that. So I had to learn how. I just sit in my like contemplation. Oh, it has to be perfect. I have to do this exactly right. And you don't.
Yeah, you don't.
And sometimes it is perfect for where you were. Like, and yeah, it just helped me a lot with that perspective and just being a person, just in every aspect, just getting out of my head and making a choice and then going from there. Because you find out the choice may have been mistaken, the choosing was not. You have to move on. I just think it's so well written.
I know. It's so good.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you, like, when you first heard this?
Well, I was a musical theater kid, which I don't know if I'm supposed to admit that. At this point, I'm just a wild animal. It's so random. Probably when I was younger, but it came back up when I was an adult. And it might have been maybe on a shuffle, like it came up in a musical theater shuffle. Most listened to songs in 2017 or something. But yeah, it was just like it reemerged. And again, when I was a kid, I probably didn't understand what they were saying, but as an adult, I really do. And you have to get older to like for it to click sometimes.
I love that. That's great. What is the last song you completely fell in love with?
Oh my God. Working It Out by ML Buch.
Oh man.
I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. I don't know either. It's just her and guitar. It's got such a beautiful chorus effect on the guitar. On her vocals too. It's just the production on it's gorgeous. And it's this song. I like songs that are, I mean, I like a lot of different songs, but this one specifically is like, it's almost like you're talking to a friend or like maybe a friend of the opposite sex, and you're saying like, you're going to work it out. Like, it's just like this like wholesome and beautiful song about like solidarity with people in your community and just like a word of encouragement. And just like offering that, like, you're going to get past that. And it's beautiful lyrics and just like, I love her playing and I just love the arrangement of the song. I think that it's just one of those songs that is completely perfect to me. It's hard to even, with songs that I really love, I almost like don't have anything specific to say about it sometimes, if that makes any sense. I know you can probably relate to that. Yeah. It's just like it hits a certain thing in your head.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's just like a feeling. It just this is it's funny, like all the things that you were just saying to describe it, you pretty much just, it was like you were reading my notes that I wrote down for the song, because it's like those are all the things that like that like the guitar tone and then the effects on her voice and it's there's something about it's like it seems, or parts, there's a simplicity to it, but it's not like it's not. It's like
she repeats all the right parts. I just like it just feels like and not every song has to be about romance, not every song has to be about yourself. So I loved I like topical diversity, I guess you can call it, and I just felt like I just heard the song and I just sent it to a bunch of friends and it just felt good to do that.
Have you listened? So I know we just kind of like made a joke about this, but have you listened to the rest of the album?
Yes, this one I have. Yeah. This is the standout for me.
Yeah.
And she also I notice goes off on some sound explorations,
Mm-hmm.
and completely seamlessly goes into her other songs. And it's beautiful. I love how she crafted this specific album, and I haven't listened to the other
Same.
ones yet, but yeah, beautiful.
It's so like this is I agree, like this is the standout song to me too, but the whole thing is it's a journey. It like
Yeah,
really is.
yeah, yeah. I think she also probably needed to express that part of herself where
Mm-hmm.
she's like, I'm going to dedicate certain parts of the album to just sonic
Yeah.
landscapes.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Um well what's a cover song that's you think's better than the original?
Okay, I'm gonna get dragged. I would drag me too for saying this because Stevie Wonder is probably one of my favorite artists and favorite songwriters, and I totally get it. And if you flame me in your head and you flame me in real life, if you want to cyberbully me, that's I understand. But Higher Ground, and again, I'm sorry, Higher Ground by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I think is better than the original.
Wow.
I know, and you don't have to agree with me. I actually
I'm
prefer
not going to
that.
agree with you, but
That's
that's
totally fine. That's totally fine. It is, and it's a very, it's, this is an opinion that I know is like, uh, it stands out among my other opinions about music. Normally, I would say Stevie Wonder is the
yeah,
end all be all.
yeah. I'm so like I think the cover's good. I don't think it's like a thing where it's like, oh, this is terrible. Like I think it's really good. It's and the funny thing is I think
I think we broke up for a second. Hey,
hey
I think that my statement about Higher Ground by the Red Hot Chili Peppers being a better cover or
it
being a
broke the
better
whole thing.
version, I think it literally was like, no, 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 no.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened, but
I think it was the connection. But
okay.
the last thing I heard you say is, I do not agree with you.
uh,
I love that.
that's
Honestly, I agree, but I don't at the same time.
yeah.
I agree with the like, what? But it's hard
Well,
to explain.
uh, yeah. I don't. I mean, again, like I don't think it's like I like the Red Hot Chili Peppers version. I just Stevie Wonder
I
is
understand. I
yeah.
understand. Believe me, I also hate me for saying that. Um, there's something about just the driving quality of it. It's like a little harder, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it goes a little harder. And I hate that I'm saying this. I hate that I'm saying this, but it hits good, and I
And
think that the original hits good too.
I I can see what you're saying. Again, I don't agree, but I can like,
Yes,
and I love the fact that you're like, I think this, and I'm upset with myself for
I'm
saying.
upset with myself, and I acknowledge that you don't have access to my perspective.
Yes, I don't. Yes, I don't have access to. I don't know that I'll ever try to access this one, but hey, we'll see.
I don't blame you. I understand, and that's why the connection died.
Yes, it's yeah. That was just the universe's way of
Yeah,
letting you know.
you need
No.
to you need to find God or something.
Yeah. Uh, well, let's move on from that and hope that the connection stays stable here. Um, what's the song that means the most to you? And it's not necessarily the song itself, but you associate it with something or someone that's so important.
So there's a song called Força Estranha, which is by it's sung by Gal Costa, who's a Brazilian artist. I'm sure she's still active. I gotta check on that. Um, but she was popular during like Tropicalia era in Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
and the title translates to "strange force," and it's all about the mysterious force that drives you to make music. And the lyrics themselves, I don't speak Portuguese, but when I translate them, it's sort of like a not parable, but it just talks about just like examples of just like really beautiful um inexplicable moments in life where you're like, oh, here's the meaning I'm finding. Like this is the point of it all. And she just like, I'm not sure if she's the original writer, but the way that the lyrics are put together, it's just like so moving, and it's just her and guitar in that just specifically Brazilian incredible way. And it's just one of my favorite. It means a lot to me, and just that it's a reminder of like why I'm doing this. Like it's sort of something. It's not something I can escape necessarily, and I don't feel like imprisoned by it. But I feel like there is just something about it, about music, that kind of it's like, you're offering things to people. You are kind of, I hate to use woo-woo words, but like you're a vessel for like receiving things and then putting in your little arrangement and then like giving it out to the world, and hopefully it resonates with other people. But that's not the important part. So it's very meaningful to me.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
This song, like, this is another one of those ones where it's the ingredients are so simple on the surface, but like it creates this entire universe. And oh my god, it's so beautiful. And when I translated, because again, I don't speak Portuguese, but translating the lyric, just like reading those lyrics, it's a good, like you said, it's a good reminder of why I don't know, why do this, why it's important, why it matters. But like put in this much more beautifully poetic way.
Absolutely. Oh, 100%. And also, the first time I listened to it, I didn't know what she was saying, and I was just captured by the melody and the way the person was playing and her voice, and then it just was a cherry on top that the meaning is so beautiful. Yeah.
That's awesome. I wonder if she is still active. That's a good question.
I don't, it's not something I knew.
Yeah.
I know before. Now I want to look it up.
I know. Like, again, the urge to know everything and just know a song, like, but this is one where it's like, no, I need to know more.
I need to know. Oh no, she passed away in 2022 or in 2022.
Oh wow.
Guys,
dang.
I'm sorry.
Well,
what if I just started crying right now?
Well, we're gonna move this one up to this is a song that makes me cry now, because I would just think of her and not being.
I know.
Oh man.
But she did it while she was here.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, last question. We've made it to the end. As of this moment in time, anyway, what is your favorite song?
So my favorite song, I would say, again, very random. Oh Babe, It Ain't No Lie by Elizabeth Cotton.
Yeah.
And she is a Black woman who plays a guitar beautifully. And I believe she was active. I have to look this up really quick. In the 20th century for sure. But she wrote this song called Oh Babe, It Ain't No Lie. She played the guitar like backwards. That was her thing. Like it was like flipped upside down. Self-taught left-handed guitarist. But she played a right-handed guitar upside down, I guess, being redundant. But the song itself is just, it's really beautiful. It's a folk song, and she's just talking about the turnaround phrase is, this life I'm living is pretty high. This life I'm living is pretty high. Is getting high, pretty high, is very high. And it's like it represents this like neutral place that I've gotten to in my life where I see things, I accept things for what they are, and I don't try to always paint something as good or bad. And I am fully like integrating all of the things that I formerly thought, the things that I thought were bad, and just like kind of inviting them to join in as just a part of my life, like as like almost like a family member, and just like a thing that makes the whole possible and makes the balance occur. And to me, that's like what I get from the song.
Yeah.
It's just like looking at the world around you and then kind of like just noticing all these like weird things and good things, bad things, and just being like, this is pretty good, you know? And I like that a lot. And I love singing it.
It's Elizabeth Kahn's amazing. And this is, because she predates a lot of people who get like doing things that other men, of course, get credit for inventing.
Yeah.
I love this song, and I love that. Yeah, that's the spirit of it is just like what you're just saying, like learning, things that I feel like that's been a big part of my journey in the last I don't know how many years, but like revisiting things. I was like, oh no, this is wrong. You don't do this, and realizing like it's not that simple, and it doesn't.
Neutrality. It's like a really hard place to get to, I think. This person last night, and I had this conversation. Women have conversations in the bathroom. Like that's just a thing we do. We just like make friendships in the bathroom. And she extended her thanks. She's like, I love your voice. And I said, wow, thank you. And then I sort of went on to say, she was like, it must be amazing to have that, just to be able to have that, to just be able to sing in that way. And I was like, I feel like neutral about it. And then she's like, go on. I was like, how we like try to get to a neutral place with how we see our body? Like, I don't see this as bad. I don't see this as amazing. This is a beautiful thing. It's a thing that carries me through life. And it's a thing that is like such an important thing that I have to respect and I want to respect. And that's kind of how I feel about, that's how I feel about my voice also. And because I think it kind of hurts to go in either direction, in either extreme. And that's how I feel about the world around me. And I feel like I'm in a good place when I'm in a neutral place.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I think I feel that deeply. And
okay.
No, I love that. I think that's and I think that's genuinely like kind of the perfect place to end.
Oh, great.
So
beautiful. I wasn't sure if I made any sense, but I'm glad I did.
No, I think it does. It makes sense to me. Now, whether that makes sense to everybody else, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I think make sense to me, and everyone else just looks at me like you don't know. Okay, yeah. But that's okay. But this was an absolute blast.
Likewise.
And I thank you again for doing it. And Leave the Light On is out June 25th, and everybody should listen to it.
Thank you so much, Brad.
Once again, thank you to Jae Soto for taking the time. And the other thing, I can't remember if we talked about this now in the intro, but this was the morning after the afternoon after her album release show. So, hell of a time to do this, but man, it was such a good episode. She was so much fun. Leave the Light On. God, I love that album, and I really hope a lot of people check it out. And if you get the opportunity to see her live, I imagine that is one hell of a good time. All right, and make sure to check out her the playlist, link in the show notes, link to the album, all that good stuff. If you like the show, you've been enjoying it, having fun with it, please leave a rating and or review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. That stuff helps get this into more ears and all that good stuff. If you like it even more, you can join the Patreon, patreon.com/Foxy Digitalis. For as little as $3 a month, you get the full conversation. There's a whole section that doesn't go out here on the main feed, and you get them a week early. You get a bunch of extra stuff, and it really supports the cause, keeps everything going. Otherwise, if that's not for you, take those few bucks, pick up a copy of Jae Soto's album, and until next time, keep on listening to whatever the hell you want.